Welcome to another one of my reflections for the week. I'm calling this one a simple barnyard story, maybe predicting the future of our great community. I've noticed a disturbing trend in our community lately. Our Community Action Network Committee is on life support and is in dire need of more volunteers to step forward and continue to keep it alive. Our Trails Committee has decided to disband. Our youth center no longer exists and is not even listed in the new leisure guide for the city of Greater Sudbury. The Knights of Columbus Summer Festival, which was once the highlight of the summer in the area, has disappeared into memory. Valley East Days has become more of a commercial event than a community event, and there's fewer and fewer community groups taking part. And we have fewer and fewer active playground associations in our community who are organizing activities and events in their neighborhood playgrounds. It really seems as if the fabric of our community is beginning to unravel, and it's crumbling like a deck of cards. Several decades ago, when my own kids were young and growing up, everybody pitched in and helped create a community spirit in Valley East, and it was the envy of the region. As a result, our population grew, our businesses were successful, our sports and recreation groups flourished, our municipal leaders were able to keep taxes fairly low while providing satisfactory services, and even managed to maintain a surplus in the reserves. Valley East was in such good shape that we even decided to become a city, making us the 6th largest city in Northern Ontario. So why have things changed so much? I think I found the answer in a little story that I call the Little Red Hen. Some of you may have heard this story called the Barnyard Story. I just want to share it with you today. One day a little red hen scratched about in the barnyard as she gathered some grains of wheat. She called her neighbors and said, "If we plant this wheat, we shall have bread to eat. Who will help me plant?" "Not I," said the cow. "Not I," said the duck. "Not I," said the pig. "Not I," said the goose. "Then I will," said the little red hen, and she did. The wheat grew tall and ripened into golden grain. "Who will help me reap my wheat?" asked the little red hen. "Not I," said the duck. "I have other plans." "I'd have to leave my comfortable pen," said the pig. "I have to watch not to hurt my back," said the cow. "I don't want to ruffle my freshly cleaned feathers," said the goose. "Then I will," said the little red hen, and she did. At last it was time to bake the bread. "Who will help me bake the bread?" asked the little red hen. "That would be overtime for me," said the duck. "I'm waiting for a friend to come over," said the pig. "I never learned how when I was in school," said the cow. "I think I'll wait for something better to come along," said the goose. "Then I will," said the little red hen, and she proceeded to bake 5 loaves. They all wanted some, and in fact even demanded a share. But the little red hen said, "No, I can eat the 5 loaves myself." "You have more than you need," said the duck. "You're being greedy," said the pig. "How can you let us go hungry when you have so much?" said the cow. "You don't care about your neighbors," said the goose. And they painted unfair picket signs and marched around and around the little red hen, shouting obscenities. When the farmer showed up, he said to the little red hen, "You mustn't be greedy." "But I earn the bread," said the little red hen. "Exactly," said the farmer. "That's the wonderful free enterprise system. Anyone in a barnyard can earn as much as he wants. But in our modern system, the productive workers must divide their profits with the idle." And so the little red hen took her share, 1 loaf of bread, and went back home. The duck, the pig, the cow, and the goose all took 1 loaf of bread as their share, and they too went on their way home to enjoy the fresh feast. And they lived happily ever after, including the little red hen, who smiled and chuckled. "I am so grateful to live in a country which will look after me. I am so grateful." But her neighbors all wondered why she never baked any more bread. After reading the story, a lot of things start to make sense. Our Community Action Network Committee is on life support and is in dire need of more volunteers to step forward and continue to keep it alive, because they continue to run into roadblocks every time they try to start a new initiative, and they found very little cooperation from the city. Everything gets slowed down and bogged down to the point that volunteers are finding it's just not worth putting the time in. Our Trails Committee's decided to disband because they've been unable to convince the city to provide them with sufficient funding to improve the trails and accomplish their goals. The Knights of Columbus Summer Festival, which was once the highlight of the summer, has disappeared into memory because of the cost of insurance and the multitude of regulations and bylaws that resulted in volunteers feeling it was just no longer worth the effort. Valley East Days has become more of a commercial event than a community event, with fewer and fewer community groups taking part because of the lack of volunteers and support it once had as a community initiative. So it has to now be held on the grounds of the Henry Valley Shopping Center and is largely intended to draw traffic to the shopping center. It's no longer being held at the Centennial Arena. We have fewer and fewer active playground associations in our community because of the regulations, the bylaws, and the restrictions with respect to the use of the facilities. Where neighbors could get together and plan activities, now they've got to get all kinds of approvals, and they've got to get permissions and sign liability forms. It's just not worth it anymore. And so I suppose we should not be too surprised to see that the Howard Armstrong Recreation Center, which is the pride and joy of Valley East and a jewel of the entire city of Greater Sudbury when it comes to fitness and health centers, is now under attack. When informed that the people from Valley East were unhappy that the membership rates were being increased significantly simply because our rates were too low compared to the others, Claude Berthillon's answer seems to sum up everything so clearly when he stated, "Thank you for your letter, but we must be fair to all citizens of the city." We must be fair to all citizens of the city. Sounds a lot like what the farmer in the story said to the hen. So as we move forward, we basically have two choices. One is to do what the Little Red Hen did in the story and simply not bake any more bread. Or we can fight back and demand to keep what is rightfully ours, teaching others that they too can have what we have if they work just as hard as we did for it. Have a good week.